Karthik, the button is there now. Jai Baba.
Indeed. So, Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Why don't you start by reading the seven realities? Jai Baba.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. 1. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. 2. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. 3. The only real existence, sorry, the only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even love itself are sacrificed. 4. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward, when compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling to each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you, and over to you, Karthik.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. So, for those of you who were there in the last reading, it was a beautiful session. We got some timely reading opportunities. I remember Mama G's when it was about the Hamirpur declaration of the Avatarhood, and all of us had little takeaways, and it was such a wonderful reading last Saturday with that those memories and anticipation of a similar exciting reading this morning. Let's start. We are in a new chapter. Baba now goes to Andhra the second time. This is 1954. And Namita ji, you want to start by reading first?
Yes, Jai Baba. Can you
Jai
hear
Baba.
me?
Jai Baba. Yes, please go ahead.
All right.
So on the physical page of volume 5, we are on 88. Jai Baba. Over to you.
Jai Baba. Baba leaves Mahabaleshwar for Andhra 1954, Part 5. Small darshan at Pune railway station. During Meher Baba's tour of the Hamirpur district, he conveyed to his mandli that once they were in Andhra, they would witness one of the aspects of his Leela, the tremendous fervor of the masses to greet the avatar. And this proved true from the day Baba reached Vijayawada until the day he left Andhra Pradesh. The exciting 12-day non-stop tour remains unsurpassed in the memories of the Mandali, for everywhere they went, in the villages as well as in towns, thousands rushed to have Baba's darshan. While some in the crowds stared, started in started in amazement at Baba's radiant face, in which his avataric beauty and divinity were perfectly blended. Others, in their surging enthusiasm to reach Baba, to garland him, to bow down to him, or offer their respects in some way, became so unmanageable that the Mandali and the volunteers, despite their best effort, could not control the crowds. In response to the people's fervor, Baba's outpouring of love, his gracious giving was unparalleled. And despite the uproar, in his all knowing love, Baba re- what is this? R-E reigned all in silence, in complete control of every situation. His very presence was a healing balm for the masses. No wonder that later many miracles were attributed to Baba, but he himself, as always, remains the greatest wonder in creation. God became man. Just a week after returning from the strenuous darshan tour of Hamirpur, Baba left Mahabaleshwar once again for a whirlwind 12-day tour of Andhra. Adi, as previously ordered, drove Baba to Pune with Irich and Gustaji accompanying them. They arrived at the railway station by 8:30 on the morning of February 19, 1954. About 15 minutes earlier, the passenger train to Vijayawada had streamed into the station, precipitating the customary frantic rush of passengers to find seats and to get all their luggage aboard. In the midst of this can you I don't know what this maelstrom, a group of about 18 of the Mandali were busy loading all of their luggage into a third class compartment. No sooner had they done so that someone brought the news that Baba had arrived, and most of them went out to see him. There, there was also a small crowd of Baba lovers from Pune waiting at the station to take advantage of this opportunity to see their beloved master. They garlanded Baba as soon as he got out of the car, and with them followed he walked through the station to the platform where the train was waiting. The Pune lovers had arranged for a comfortable chair to be brought to the platform for Baba, and as there was still an hour before the train was scheduled to depart, Baba sat there looking radiant in his pink coat and white sadra. The Baba lovers who gathered there were in a happy, buoyant mood at being in his company once more after a long time. Their faces glowed and their eyes sparkled with their love for Baba, the avatar of the age. One of Baba's early disciples from the Mehrabad days happened to live in Pune. This was R.K. Gadikar. He had come from a Pune Arangaon family but had risen to a higher position as a deputy director in the state government. Yet, despite this, his nature remained completely unaffected. In fact, his utter simplicity and childlike devotion to Baba was astonishing to witness. He had been a teacher in school Baba established at Mehrabad in late 20s, and later, with Baba's help, he completed his own higher education in England. On seeing him, Baba started teasing him that he had gained weight, unaware that Baba was joking. Gadikar answered with complete seriousness, I don't think so. With a captivating smile on his face, Baba continued, you're getting fat, and no wonder. It's because you don't worry about anything. You leave all of that to me. Much laughter greeted this jest, for Gadikar's absolute faith in beloved Baba was well known to all. And so the time passed, with Baba chattering with his close ones, asking after their family members, and generally creating that atmosphere of light-hearted and loving intimacy, which was so much a part of Baba's gracious companionship. Sadashiv Patel, another of early Mandali, put a beautiful garland around Baba's neck and was rewarded with an embrace. But as people on the platform caught a glimpse of Meher Baba sitting there, they too came hurriedly to greet him. Not just the passengers, but some of the guards on duty at the station, railway officials, and even the hawkers came rushing forward to pay their respect. Soon the scene resembled a small darshan program, and the Mandali were hard pressed to control the situation. All were pushing forward to get closer to Baba, and it was only after strenuous effort that the Mandali finally managed to make a queue so that all could file by Baba in an orderly fashion. I have never seen another like him. One of those standing at the back of the crowd was K. Ramakrishnan. He had first heard of Meher Baba in the early 40s while stationed near Pune in the Indian Army. He had purchased a book copy of Gita Rashpa, uh, an English translation of Bhagavad Gita with a commentary by Sri Lokmanya B.G. Tilak. The book also included an appreciation of the Gita by Meher Baba. Ramakrishna was impressed with Baba's words, although he did not know who Baba was. He carried this book with him throughout his travels in Southeast Asia and read it often, thus frequently being reminded of Meher Baba's name. I wonder if any of you have seen this book?
No, I think it might be Gita Rahasya, right?
Yeah,
I,
what did I say?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Gita Rahasya. I think it
Yeah,
must
it's a
be Gita
Gita.
Rahasya.
Yeah, it must
Rahasya,
be.
a
Yeah.
commentary, a translation with commentary by Tilak.
Yes, yes.
That's intriguing that Baba has also written in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
he's written his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. I would like to have to see what he's written. That would be so
great.
nice. I hope
Yes.
somehow we reach that book.
I think it
Okay.
should be easy to find given its Tilak's commentary.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you are the CID. Go find it.
Jay Baba, it
Yeah.
also brings out that the way in which Baba attracts people, because when he read the book, when he read the Gita Rahasya, he was not aware who Baba was, or and then later on but he was chanting his name and he was reading about Baba, and then later on he came in the fold of Baba. So it's very interesting how um, different people have different journeys of coming to Baba.
Absolutely. Continuing, in 1951, he met
Yeah,
Adi Jairam.
I take a second. I'll take a
Yes,
second and show
yes.
you the cover of this book. It's,
You
as I
found
said,
it?
it's
Oh,
no,
you
no. I think
are.
it's basically like I said, Gita Rahasya,
Uh,
and
uh,
there it is. There is
uh,
Tilak Tilak's words. So it's written in Hindi. So maybe it should be available. So yeah, I think it's available in Amazon.
can you find a
So
PDF?
In fact, in Marathi, maybe.
Marathi,
Maybe
okay,
Marathi.
yes,
Maybe Marathi.
maybe Marathi. Yeah.
I wonder what
Uh,
Baba wrote in.
yeah, Gita
I wonder.
Rahasya.
Okay, I have a question. You know, when Baba used to point out through his fingers, how did these people know which language he's talking in? You know, sometimes he's speaking Gujarati, sometimes he's speaking English, sometimes he's speaking Marathi. I don't know about Marathi though.
Baba
Then
knew
the
all these
people.
languages.
No, what I
He
mean to
used to,
say is,
yeah,
what
yeah,
the
Baba knew
person.
all these languages.
No, what I mean to say is, the people who were verbalizing his, words. How did they know which language he's speaking?
So my thing is, I think it was just by being, I mean, just through practice and intimacy and comfort that you build with the Baba. So I think his basic gestures were universal and not language specific. So he wanted a cup of chai, he wanted to bless somebody, he wanted to ask about somebody. It was all universal. They were not language specific, but Baba was so evocative and so I mean, he had a repertoire of things he was doing, right? He was joking, he was referring to things, incidents, places. I'm sure it must have been pretty complex, but I think it was just the way Mandali was so familiar and got so used to it. So, based on the context and based on what was happening around at that time, they probably picked it up. And but I think it was most often just universal things, right? So when I do a gesture, it means something in meaning rather than in a language. So he was never transliterating gestures like how a person on TV would do it for the differently abled, but more selling. Yeah, I mean, conveying the idea is my understanding. Any
Yeah,
others?
but
Any comments?
sorry, but when he is giving big discourses, he's dictating letters. That time I'm wondering how it would be.
Uh, I don't think it would
No,
have
no,
been
no.
any
Up to 1956, he was using the board, right?
board. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's only after that the things became much trickier, and it took some time for even Niraj and other Mandli to start fluently
Understanding.
interpreting, if I may say, his gestures. But over the time, it just got picked up. 7th of October 1956, he dropped this board in Satara. Yeah, yeah, Baba.
Jai
I'm thinking, yeah,
it be intuition. It's intuitive. So people, as Karthik said, people around him they picked up uh, the his message or and communication and interpreted it. That's how it is.
Yeah.
And
But I
I'm
think
thinking
the
many
for,
of the
process
presentations that he gave were put to Baba for review, and he
for
made
notes, yeah,
corrections.
yeah, yeah.
Even in the
Correct.
Parvar prayer, there are corrections which Baba made. You can see that on the internet, that
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
original. Yeah, so that's how it was,
No,
as it
literally
normally happens
everything that
for
went to
somebody
print.
who is not speaking. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Jai
Sorry.
Baba.
Sorry. 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 So, literally anything that went to print went through iterations of marking up, which Baba used to painstakingly do against the transcription, let's say, right? People were actually taking notes. So, if you take the early books and early discourses, it was notes. So, it's not verbatim transcription. And those notes were converted, and those notes were presented to Baba for approval and review. And he meticulously edited those, so changed significantly. That's what I mean, right? So, but I agree with Sanjay's G's point, which is it was probably a huge struggle till they got comfortable from 1954 to the later years. So probably the first couple of years must have been quite a struggle when
56, yeah.
it was 56, sorry, to uh, translate Baba's gestures. But yeah, there are videos. There's a beautiful video where Mani talks about just gestures on YouTube,
yeah.
and she's very what should I humorous about it as well. So it's very beautiful. You should check it out.
A book
By
title
this,
is coming to my head. In Sync, Unspoken Words by Meher Baba. The gestures
Yeah,
by Meher Baba. Yeah, In Sync.
should write it.
Uh, yeah, I don't know
by
much.
Nomita
I
Dutt.
like that. Thank you. Tathastu. It'll
Yes,
require a
Tathastu,
lot of
Tathastu.
research, but maybe in my retirement age we can do that. Yeah, Jai Baba. Okay, I'll
That's.
continue reading.
I
Jai
didn't
Baba,
think
Jai
that you're
Baba.
going to push it to 20 years later, but it's okay.
That's a good compliment. I like you. Your lunch is on me.
Okay, I'll send the bill.
Jai Baba.
Sunilji.
Yeah, I have a little bit of commentary on Gita Rahasya.
Sure,
Just bear with
please.
me 2-3 minutes. Yeah, Tilak's
Sure.
Gita Rahasya. The book is to Srimad Bhagavad Gita Rahasya, written by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lokmanya Tilak, while he was imprisoned in Mandalay around 1910 to 1911. Tilak's central thesis was the Bhagavad Gita is primarily a doctrine of karma yoga, selfless action, Renunciation does not mean abandoning action. One must perform one's duty without attachment to results. This interpretation was quite influential in India's freedom movement because it justified active engagement in the world rather than withdrawal. Meher Baba's note remark, yes, Meher Baba did make a brief remark about Tilak's interpretation. In conversations recorded by close Mandali, later appearing in some Baba literature, Baba said roughly that Tilak wrote the book with great intellectual effort and sincerity. But the deeper spiritual meaning of Gita cannot be fully grasped merely by intellect. Baba indicated that the true inner meaning of the Gita relates to the inner spiritual struggle, not just philosophical interpretation. In Baba circles, this comment is often paraphrased along the lines of Tilak explained the Gita intellectually, but the real Gita is understood only through spiritual experience. In Baba's own explanation of the Gita, Baba sometimes described the Gita symbolically: Arjuna, the individual soul; Krishna, the divine inner guide slash God; Kurukshetra war, the inner battle between sanskaras and spiritual aspiration. So the battlefield is not only historical, it represents the inner struggle of consciousness. Where the comment appears, the reference to Baba's remarks about Tilak usually appears in Lord Mayor, Bhagwan Sri Maha, biography by Bhagwan Sri Mayor Baba Trust, author Bhau Kalchari, some Mandali reminiscences and discourses compiled later. It's a short comment, not a long written critique by Baba. Uh, well, okay, I'll stop there. Jai Baba.
Okay. Uh, you'll have to unmute yourself, Lamita ji. There was a audio uh, echo, so I muted you.
Sure.
Uh, so I was just going back to where he's mentioning it. The book also included an appreciation of the Gita. So it's not a full commentary, but it's like the front matter of the book containing a section probably by Meher Baba. And maybe, just maybe, it was one of the editions that had it. And maybe we'll have to research a little more. And what you found, Sunilji, was probably only the references by Baba about this book. So, but
Possibly, possibly.
given what's mentioned by Bal Natu and his meticulous research, it's likely that one of the editions of this book probably had a page in the front matter with which had some sort of comment on it. Anyway, something to research, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Uh,
That really put it in good perspective. We
context, yeah, yeah.
understand. Sorry, fan chalao na? In 1951, he met Adi K. Irani at his office in Ahmednagar. Adi greeted him warmly and offered him tea. When Ramakrishna mentioned that he had been studying the Gospel of Sri Krishna, Ramakrishna, and the works of Vivekananda since 1943, Adi remarked, "You will find him embodied in Meher Baba, the Brahman, ultimate reality, which you have been reading about." Wow.
So when Ramakrishnan mentioned that he'd been studying and the verse, oh, so this is Adi's comment. Okay, uh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Ramakrishna began to develop great love and respect for Baba, but it was not until 3 years later that he finally got the chance to see him. On that sunny morning of February 19th, about his impression of his first glimpse, he writes, "I saw Meher Baba for the first time on a platform number 2 of Pune railway station. He was on his way to Andhra Pradesh with a large number of his disciples. Francis Brabazon, the Australian poet, was among them. Meher Baba was seated on a comfortable, upholstered chair. radiant and garlanded, receiving the homage of his devotees. He was flanked by two tall men standing on either sides, and a large number of people were struggling to get near him. Most of his devotees in Pune were there, besides the passengers seeking his darshan. I have an inherent aversion towards crowds. Hence, though longing to go near him, I left the idea of forcing my way through the crowd and contented myself with seeing him from a distance. I climbed over raised portion of the bridge connecting the platform from where I could see him clearly. The moment I got there, Baba coincidentally got up and walked into the train and occupied a seat near a window where I was able to see him every moment very clearly. I stood there absorbed in his presence for over an hour or so. It was, I think, a special reserved compartment for Baba and his men. People were crowding in front, trying to get near, if possible, to touch him. Some were offering him gifts of fruits, small packets of sweets, biscuits, etc. He was accepting them with one hand and giving them to people as prasad with the other. He was a magnetic personality, utterly impersonal in being. There was a smile on his face, a beam of light shining into the hearts of all, giving an ineffable joy that made people forget their woes, at least for as long as they were in his presence. His smile was so enchantingly enchanting, though that those who were blessed to witness it would want to lose themselves in it. Wow, Jai Baba.
Enticingly enchanting. So,
Enticingly enchanting.
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
There
Beautiful.
was there was Irich mopping perspiration from Baba's face. Irich is my most favorite Baba's disciple, Mandali, He was so selfless all his life. He's my
Yeah,
most favorite, really. There were there were other Mandali around him who later on were destined to enter deeply into my life. Gadikar was there too, busy running up and down. All were so absorbed in him that they paid no attention to the world around them. When the train moved out of the platform, I got down and went to work. I have never seen another like him, was the impression I carried with me when I returned, and his smiling face seemed to accompany me. You want to read the footnote?
yes. It's a reference to Ramakrishnan's message. So that came from Reminiscences number 5, pages 5 to 7. Publication is Divyavani, published 1975 in September. So 21, yeah, Baba introduces Francis.
Baba introduces Francis to the Mandali. A third class compartment had been reserved for most of the Mandali. We have read this somewhere else, right? It looks like I've seen or heard this. I don't know in which book. Maybe in Lord's Mehed.
Maybe,
A-
maybe.
And two second class coupes as well. One for Baba and Erich, another for Adi and Francis Brabazon. As they were traveling, Baba came to the third class compartment to introduce Francis to the Mandali. This was Francis's first visit to India, and only those who had been with Baba in Myrtle Beach in 1952 had met Francis before. Baba told the Mandali that Francis had been head of a Sufi group in Australia but had flown to India to join them on this darshan tour. Baba then turned to Francis and continued. Yeah, Baba.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like those gatekeepers outside the Samadhi. If you stay longer, they'll say Jai Baba. I will tell you why I called you. I will also tell you what you have to do later on. In them, In the meantime, all that you have to do is observe minutely everything that people do there, Andhra, and then you will have to tell me everything you have seen, heard, and grasped. Remember, I am perfectly divine and perfectly human simultaneously. So no one, even the rishis, can fathom me. When Francis returned to Australia later that year, he wrote a booklet, a brief poetic account of Baba's Andhra visit. In the introduction, Francis writes, I had met Meher Baba nearly 2 years before at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This meeting was the culmination of 10 years of spiritual search for that ideal guide in whom I could unreservedly place my confidence, the man who I felt had mastered every difficulty and obstacle which still confronted me. During the previous 10 years, I had studied the methods and practices of great Sufi schools and had read fairly widely in Vedanta, Buddhism, and other systems, including Taoism and Confucianism. In Meher Baba,
Confucianism.
yeah, whatever.
Confucianism. There is a
Confucianism.
Chinese,
Yeah, I know
yeah,
this, but I don't know how
Confucius.
to,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I know of
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
in Meher Baba, I found that person who not merely knew these things, but was the living embodiment of all these systems of knowledge. In other words, he was a man who had reached the summit of truth. In religious terms, was God realized. Of course, I knew that Baba was everyone affectionately calls him had been saying for many years that he was God realized, was in fact an incarnation of Godhead, a God man, in the same meaning as Christ is believed to be by the Christians, Muhammad by Mohammedans, and Buddha by Buddhists, etc. And I knew that Sufis and thousands of people everywhere recognize this claim. But as with Thomas, I had to see it for myself. Well, I had seen, and the cry of the deepest parts of my consciousness had been answered. I was satisfied that if ever it was possible to see God on this earth, I had seen him.
So who's the Thomas he refers to here? Is
No,
that
no, it's
the?
the Thomas of the Bible.
That's what I thought. Yeah, just
Yeah.
confirming.
Thomas
Yeah,
of the
okay.
Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's from the book Journey with God. Another book to add to our list of things to read. In Dust I Sing is another book of ghazals that we have to read of Francis Brabazon. And this is the foreword of Journey with God. The only book of Francis we have read till now, which again is remarkable, is Stay with God.
Yes.
Okay, let's continue. Any other volunteers to read? We can
Jai
rotate
Baba.
if you
Jai
want.
Baba. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. But I will read for a while. Is my
Okay.
voice okay?
Yes, very nice. Jai Baba. Thank
Okay.
you very
Jai
much.
Baba. Thank you so much, Namita ji. And after me, anybody else is welcome to join and read. I'm just reading for a few minutes. It's been very long since I've been read. Thank you,
Or
Baba.
maybe I can read for some time. I'm outside actually in the car. My family is in some
Okay.
birthday party. I'm just sitting in the car. If you want, I can
Oh,
read for
okay.
some time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. Please go
My
ahead.
voice is
And
clear,
then
right? My voice is clear.
voice is clear. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Sure. Go ahead. You first.
Yeah. A foretaste of Andhra. The passenger train carrying beloved Baba and the Mandali reached Gurudwadi, where I was working as a school teacher at around 3 in the afternoon. The entire platform was crowded with people who wanted to have a glimpse of Baba, while in the waiting lounge, over 500 pupils from the school were assembled. I spotted Baba sitting with the Mandali in the third class compartment. I approached and requested him to bless the people with his darshan. The platform was jam packed, but luckily, Baba's compartment had stopped just opposite the waiting launch, and Baba quickly walked there.
So I'll just pause here for a minute. Kurduwadi is, I think, literally 4 5 stations from Ahmednagar, and a passenger train. For those of you who still didn't connect the tour, are trains that stop in every station. So they are very, very slow trains. And in this example, the train is stopping, and Baba's actually getting off the train, getting into the waiting room, meeting these people, and getting back on. So it gives you the context of the time of how trains were back then, right? And Guduvadi is a very, very small station. And that's where Bal Natu ji was working as a teacher. Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. The launch had a roof but was really part of the platform. And instead of walls, it had arched opening so that even once inside, Baba could be seen on those on platform. However, the crowd was so large that only those near Baba could really see him. So Baba climbed up onto the counter of a fruit stall, which was in the corner of the lounge, and sat there. He folded his hands in namaskar, in bracket greeting, and turned to all sides so that none was excluded from his divine welcome. He looked enchantingly beautiful. Even so, the world began to press forward to get a better look. The mandali formed a cordon in front of Baba, but the crowd continued to push forward. On the right hand side of counter were different sized wooden cupboards containing fruit. Erach helped Baba to climb onto one of those so that he would be more visible. From there, Baba climbed onto an even higher cupboard until at last he was perched at the very top so that all could see him clearly. Erach, Kumar, and others had a different time. However, getting Baba down and safely escorting him through the crowds to the train once more. I had arranged with the railway caterer before the train arrived to serve tea to Baba and Mandali, but the crush was so great, none of the waiters dared to attempt it. They were afraid the tea would only be spilled and all the crockery broken. As the train whistled and pulled out, I noticed that in the mad rush, the
And
glass
as the
panes,
train whistled and pulled out, yeah.
yeah, as the train whistled and pulled out, I noticed that in the mad crush, the glass panes of the cupboards of the fruit stall had been smashed off pieces. As Baba had allowed me to join him for his Andhra tour at Kurduwadi, I made my way through the crowd and entered the third class compartment where Baba and Mandali were. People were still flocking to the train windows to get a glimpse of Baba and following the train as it pulled out of the station. Perhaps this short but intense interlude was a foretaste of what it was going to be like in Andhra. Before I got settled in my seat, Baba expressed his concern over the broken panes of the fruit counter. Then he instructed me to read a type sheet which one of the mandali handed me. It was a list of instructions for those traveling with Baba. The main point was that all were duty bound during the entire tour to take care of Baba's person as if protecting the freshness and perfume of the most delicate flower. As I finished reading, Baba looked at me and gestured. Did you follow it? I replied yes. With a in his eye, Baba continued, then you must pay your fee for reading it. Give 10 rupees to the Faltu fund. Faltu literally means good for nothing. Very willingly and happily, I opened my purse and gave the amount to one of the mandali. To my surprise, he asked me whether I had purchased my railway ticket. I said that, of course, I had. How much did it cost? He asked. I told him a little over 25 rupees, whereupon he immediately gave me the amount. So I gave 10 and got back more than double. Aran Baba ways wonderful. One moment, the avatar, the highest of the high, was perched on the top of dusty cupboard, giving darshan to the people and receiving their adoration. And the next moment, the fairest flower of humanity was sitting in the third class compartment with his close ones, teasing and joking with them in easy familiarity. As
So I'm just curious, but I think 25 rupees is a lot of money in 1950s for a platform ticket.
yes,
So I'm assuming he bought for all the people who came to have darshan, right? So it must be for all of them put together, because those on the train don't need a platform ticket. Those who came for darshan need it. So must be all the locals that he paid for.
yeah. Uh, as I had wanted to give Baba and Mandali tea at Kurduwadi, Baba graciously granted me permission to provide it at another station. As it turned out, the station between Kurduwadi and Sholapur was famous for the quality of its tea, whereas Kurduwadi enjoyed no such distinction. Thus, Baba not only fulfills even the insignificant wishes of his dear ones, but when we allow him to do so in his time, the result is better than he would have arranged on our own. Baba then went back to his coop, but before the train pulled into Sholapur, he returned to our compartment. A Baba lover, Sri Jaju, who was an active social worker and and ardent and
And
Ardent
an
follower.
ardent,
Ardent.
and
and
an
an
ardent.
okay follower of Gandhi, came into the compartment to urge Baba to give darshan to the crowd which had collected in the open grounds just outside the station building. Baba lovingly agreed and was led to a small dais which had been set up. Jaju gave an exhortatory speech in which he dramatically called upon Baba to break his silence soon so that humanity will be freed from its suffering. In response to Jaju's emotional appeal, Baba spelled out on his board words to the effect, until I break my silence, I hear through you all and speak through all of you. Continuing for the benefit of the people, Baba added, to know me, you had to love me. Only through love you can you know. Only through love can you know me. Can you know me? If you honestly serve the people, that too is love. Although the darshan program at Sholapur seems to have been impromptu affair, it was a great occasion for the people there. Baba had last given darshan there in March 1943. At that time, there had been printed in one of the local newspaper a very brief item about Baba along with his picture. Most people probably never even noticed it. It form at it for me, it had enormous significance. In my case, it was the beginning of that soft, almost imperceptible, yet ultimately irresistible pull of the avatar that finally drew me to him. This is reference 23.
Uh,
This is
Three
from
glimpses,
volume one.
yeah, volume one.
Jai
I
Baba,
mean, Bal Natu's own book. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jai Baba Karthik, you can probably go to the previous paragraph and
Yeah, I was
highlight
thinking
that
as well.
to know me, you have to love me.
No, both of this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Until I break my silence, I hear through you all and speak through all of you. To know me, you have to love me. Only through love can you know me. If you honestly serve the people, that too is love. So too, it is impossible to know what others' hearts were started on their journey to the avatar's feet from the brief darshan that evening of the 19th. Baba can use the most insignificant thing to awaken hearts, and any contact with the avatar, no matter how brief, is anything but insignificant. Unfathomable are his ways. Baba catches a hand and captivates a heart. The Pune Bezwada, in bracket Vijayawada, passenger train was not an express. It stopped at all stations along the way and often for more than 20 minutes at each station. This had
No,
the
at each
advantage of,
junction. So I just
yeah,
looked up Kudwadi. Kudwadi happens to be a junction. So a passenger train will stop longer in the junctions. And in every station, I mean, even by schedule, minimum of 2 minutes, right? So that's what he's saying. Kudwadi, by the way, is a junction. And by the way, contrary to what I mentioned earlier, it's 2 hours plus away from uh, Ahmednagar. Right? Please continue.
this had the advantage of giving Baba enough time to give darshan at places like Kurdwadi and Sholapur, and also meant that Baba, wherever he wished, was able to come and visit with the Mandali in the compartment, with the incomparable pleasure of Baba's company. That 33-hour journey was quite enjoyable. Although the night
Wow,
of
it took 33 hours from from Pune because the journey started, if you recollect, in Pune. So Pune to Vijayawada took 33 hours back then. Wow.
all through the night of the 19th and all day of the 20th, we journeyed, finally arriving at Vijayawada at about 8:30 on the night of February 20th. There was a huge crowd on the platform waiting for the train, which was bringing them their beloved master. And when they saw Baba, then all began rushing toward his second class couple, shouting, Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. As Baba stepped down to platform, he was welcomed by the reception committee and uh, garlanded, while others in the crowd eagerly pressed forward to have better glimpse of Baba's divine face. In the midst of his tumultuous reception, Baba plunged into the crowd and walked straight up to one of the men standing there and reached out and took his arm.
And took his arm and reached out and took
And
his
took
arm.
his arm. I'm really sorry. Actually, I'm reading from mobile,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm really
mobile. Yeah,
sorry
yeah.
for this.
That's why I'm helping you. Yeah, go ahead.
Why Manikela Rao? Baba later nicknamed him as a Manik, who was one of the main workers. Introduced the person to Baba, saying, "Baba, this is Majiti Rama Mohan Rao. He is the host in whose house you will be staying." Majiti had never met Baba before. He was prosperous businessman who, along with partner Chinta Sarvarao, had been approached by KDRM to see if they would contribute anything to help out during Baba's upcoming visit to Vijayawada. Neither partner was especially interested in Meher Baba, but their family doctor K. Surya Narayana loved Baba and they respected him, so they agreed to contribute some money. Meanwhile, the organizers were looking for a house for Baba in a quiet locality, as Baba had indicated that he was from Mumbai.
Ashish,
Of their best efforts, they were unable to
uh,
find such a
you
place
have to
for Baba.
repeat. You have to repeat. You went silent suddenly. So just repeat from
Yeah, yeah.
this line. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, the organizers were looking for a house for Baba in quiet locality, as Baba had indicated that he preferred such a semi-secluded residence. In spite of their best effort, they were unable to find such a place for Baba. They mentioned this to Majeti and Chinta, and for her generously offered his newly constructed house for Baba's use. Manik wrote
okay.
Baba
Just one
asking,
second. So
yeah,
I think this reference to KDRM, I'm not able to remember conclusively, but I think this KDRM reference is to the is an acronym of the four key people in Andhra Pradesh. So each of them represents one person, and so just so that I give some context, yeah, yeah. So now back to Majeti and his house.
yeah. Manik wrote Baba asking if this met with his approval, and received the reply that the house was acceptable, but only on the condition that Majeti's family move out when Baba was there. Majeti and Chinta, however, were given the rare privilege, even though neither was yet a Baba lover, to stay on the ground floor when Baba and a few of the Mandali occupied the first floor. Both men decided to take advantage of this opportunity, while Majeti's family readily consented to the unusual condition laid down by Baba and went to live with Chinta's family. On February 20, when the train arrived, Chinta and Majeti were there to greet Baba. The crowd was large, and as they had never met Baba and didn't have the same fervor to get close to him as some of the others, they ended up caught in the middle of the throng, some distance away. It unerringly, Baba walked up the Majeti and took him by the arm. The others were amazed that Baba seemed to know that Majeti was his host even before Manik could introduce him. But undoubtedly, Baba knew that Majeti and Chinta would later become stalwarts in his cause in Andhra, silently doing whatever needed to be done, never wavering in their conviction in Baba and their love for him. Recently, 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 when Chinta was asked about his and Majeti's first impression on meeting Meher Baba, he remarked, "We both loved him from the first as the avatar. For us, there were no dramatic incidents for anything of that sort. He was just irresistibly lovable, and we loved him. We loved him. It was so natural. It seems that the true significance of Baba's first meeting with Majeti was not that he picked him out of the crowd and caught hold of his hand, but that he caught hold of his heart as well.
One
Even
second.
to
One
Yeah,
second. I just found the reference to KDRM. So this is from Lord Meher. So Baba created a committee, and that was called KDRM Samiti. Okay, and it was Kutumba Shastri K, Dhanapati Rao D, Rangarao R, and Mallikarjuna M. So, and there's also a nice photograph here. Okay, so I thought I should share this, right?
yeah,
Baba and his unique ways of referring to people and things. Yeah, yeah.
Kutum Shastri also became part of the trust later. He
And I
was the
think
trust
was
chairman.
chairman, right? He was chairman, trustee, then chairman as well for a bit,
Okay, okay. And
right?
then, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of
Jay,
correspondence with Hirach by him on the Meherstan temple that was created, and there was a lot of discussion, and Baba finally gave the approval. Yeah, Jai Baba. So that's another
Kovur,
story,
Kovur.
Jay,
Yeah.
big one.
That's a very
Kavur
good
one,
story.
yeah.
Kovur
Jai
one.
Baba.
This is Kutumba
Jay,
Shastri, by the way.
Jay, may I? So uh, there was a mention of R.K. Gadekar and his son Digambar Gadekar. I think you have met. So the Gadekar family is really very much uh,
Yeah, yeah.
closely wired to Meher Baba and his son. Uh,
Ram.
also, his name is Meher Gadekar. I think Meher Gadekar. So they are very,
Ram.
very. Yeah, he's got two,
I
three
think.
sons, but one
Yeah, yeah.
son
One of them is Ram. Yeah, whom I
is
have met. Yeah, Jai Baba.
guy you must have met. So that family is also, I mean, was very close to uh, Meher Baba, is what I wanted to say. And Mr. Gadekar, Digambar Gadekar, the son of R.K. Gadekar, has come to many of the meetings of Puri Sichwad and a lot of interesting
Yes,
stories and
yes.
very humble. He was the vice chancellor
Yeah,
of.
yeah. The Kamli Court period, Baba had used the slipper for many years, which was made by R.K. Gadekar.
Yes, yes.
Jai Baba. Yeah.
Okay, Baba.
Yeah, I think, and not symbolically, as part of his universal work, the fact that he was able to take somebody from that background and send him to London for higher education was unthinkable and probably the first of its kind, right? So Baba was obviously doing something special there with R.K. Gadekar. Thanks for bringing that up.
And
So
one more.
if you remember, that's mentioned by Bal Natu here, where he finished his Baba, I think, if I remember correctly, he even paid for that higher education, and at his instance and funding, senior Gadekar ji went to uh, London. Yeah, yeah,
Just,
Ashok.
just one more thing. So Mr. Digambar Gadekar was doing his course in Berkeley, and Baba had instructed him that every week he should receive one letter from him. And so we had gone and seen the hostel where he was staying, and it was very interesting that even the post box where he used to post the letters is still there. And it is really interesting how Baba connects with his disciples and how he
Yeah.
makes them give instructions that every week, without fail, you have to write a letter to me so that you don't wave off your path of studies and things. So, I mean, Baba really takes care of his disciples.
So again, just providing more context, Ashok ji is referring to the son who's right now in Pune, and the son. So Baba, for his immediate mandali, the promise he gave was he will take care of the family, take care financially as well. So uh, uh, the senior Gadekar, R.K. Gadekar, was part of mandali, and as part of Baba's solemn uh, promise to take care of the family, Digambar Gadekar ji was sent to UC Berkeley at Baba's expense, if I am correct. Right? Anybody else has any more info you can share? And what the condition that was imposed on the weekly mails was on the junior. The senior went to London. The junior went to UC Berkeley.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
perspective.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, I need to disconnect the call now. I need to go inside to get the
Yeah.
family.
Okay, birthday party
Even,
time. Enjoy.
No
yeah.
party. Party is getting over. I
Even
need to just pick them.
even
Sure.
Digambar
Thank you.
Digambar Gadekar was
Yeah.
also in the field of education. He was
Yes,
vice chancellor of a university in Lucknow, where my
Wow.
parents had met him way back sometime in 95, 96. Yeah. So he's
correct.
also, yeah, in the academy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Baba.
Okay.
Karthik,
Very
you
good.
should now to
Yes, I will. Anybody else wants to read? I will split the time that remains. Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Even to this day, Baba continues to catch the hands of his dear ones, often when they aren't even aware of it, and captivates their hearts as he guides them on their journey to him. Announcement of the workers' meeting. Some of Meher Baba's lovers who are residing in different parts of India were graciously allowed by beloved Baba to accompany him during his second Andhra tour. They had been asked to join Baba and the Mandali at Vijayawada. As Baba got down, he was warmly received by KDRM and surrounded by the crowd who had come to greet him. So those who had been invited to join Baba had to pay their respects to him from a distance. However, the very proximity of their beloved master filled their hearts with joy. They happily called out greetings to the Mandali and embraced them. It was a glorious and festive get together, a warm family reunion in Baba's boundless love. Baba was conducted to a large, comfortable, well decorated car which was waiting outside the station. The Mandali were led to a bus which had been kept for them, while all their baggage was loaded into a truck. KDRM had told Majeti and Chinta that they shouldn't ask Baba to visit their cloth shop, but that on the way to Majeti's house, Baba's car would pass it. Baba, however, on his own asked N. Dharmarao, who was to be Baba's driver for the whole Andhra tour, to stop the car as they drove by the cloth shop. The two partners, whom Baba later used to refer to as twins, were given the opportunity of presenting Baba with some nice cloth. The caravan then proceeded to Majeti's house, which was to serve as Baba's residence. There, he was introduced to more of the Andhra lovers as well as Majeti's family. Baba's arti was performed in the traditional Hindu way by burning camphor on a plate. The burning camphor, when waved before an image of God, or in this case, the God man himself, symbolized the individual self being consumed in love for the beloved. When Aarti is over, it is customary that the plate with the burning camphor be passed among those present who reverently hold their palms over the flame and then touch their forehead or heart with it. This gesture, a symbolic darshan, represents a bowing down to the flame of love, the light within each one's heart. Maybe it was a bad idea for me to read. After Aarti, Baba started telling KDRM and the others from Andhra about the important meeting of his workers that he was going to hold. He concluded, I want all my workers in Andhra, small or big, to be present on the 2nd of March at Rajamundry. What I want to explain to all my workers, I will tell there. This is my last trip to Andhra. So anyone whom KDRN thinks might work for me should be present. Baba then asked the Mandali, except for the few that were to stay with him, Eruch, Pendu, Chagan, and Sindhu, to go to the Chaul tree. This where they were to stay and have dinner and then retire. Baba told them to stay up late but to rest well so they would feel fresh for the next day's programs. Chaultry is a resting place for visitors where rooms and food are provided by a charitable institution for nominal rates, Dharamshala. Continuing, by 5 in the next morning, 5 a.m. the next morning, on the 21st, most of us had a refreshing hot water bath and were ready for the first full day of Baba's Andhra tour. Soon, a caravan of two cars, a jeep, a bus, a van, and a truck, were parked outside on the road. Quickly, but in an orderly way, We all put our baggage in the truck. Pendu, the controller of movements, then gave the order to board the bus. We all got in. Little did we realize that during our 12 days in Andhra, although we had many hosts and stayed in a variety of houses, our home more often than not was the bus. Even our seats remained constant as it was found practical for everyone to sit in the same place each time. That way, at a moment's glance, we could tell who, if anyone, was missing. The bus pulled up in front of Baba's residence before 7, and we found a number of people outside the house waiting for Baba to come down the stairs so that they could pay their respects to him. He walked up the steps to the first floor where Baba was staying. We walked up the steps to the first floor where Baba was staying. He was telling Dr. Dhanapati Rao and others of the importance of the workers' meeting. He repeated, on March 2nd, I want all my workers at Rajahmundry. Continuing, Baba explained, I have been doing my work since the beginning of time. I am the only one who really works. But if you want to share or help in my work, then it must be done honestly. No compromise, no competition, no ego, for that spoils the work.
Jay
Baba
Baba
then
Karthik,
had, yeah,
if I may, sorry to interrupt you, but it talks about many concepts of management, delegation, organization, and titles. The control of movements. I mean, there are a lot of organization structure, management, which in the way Baba used to work.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was the master of that, but he was also the master of uh, unpredictability.
Oh
So
yes, yes,
his ways always had the mandali spinning around him and had them surprised more often than uh, be routine or be predictable, right? So he would say something and then change it, and then he change it again, and then go back to what he said earlier, and so on and so forth.
absolutely valid point. He used to keep everybody on their toes.
Literally, yeah. Let's continue. Baba then had the three messages read out, which he had dictated earlier that morning. These three messages were given out over and over again during the Andhra tour, but as their contents are similar to the messages given during the Hamirpur Darshan tour, only the first and concluding sentences are quoted below. Don't listen to the voice of the mind, listen to the voice of the heart. And then there's a lot of lines. And then in the end, love God wholeheartedly and honestly, sacrificing everything at the altar of His supreme love, and you will realize the beloved within you. E.N. Murthy from Penugonda brought it to Baba's attention that although Penugonda had originally been scheduled for a darshan visit, now it seemed that KDRM had left it out of the schedule entirely. An animated discussion ensued, during which the organizers justified their position and pointed out the practical difficulties of such a visit, and Murthy insisted that Baba should come. After letting everyone express himself on this affair, Baba decided that as KDRM had originally promised that he would go in order to keep their word, he would visit Penagonda for 5 minutes on the 5th, on the night of the 24th. In retrospect, it seems as if Baba had already set the ball rolling for the ensuing workers' meeting with this discussion, as the differences of opinion among the Baba lovers in Andhra were being brought to the surface by him. After the serious discussion, Baba, as was one of his ways, lightened the mood of the gathering by teasingly reminding the organizers to be careful about the food arrangements during the Andhra tour. I need only a little rice and dal, he remarked, but you are good eaters. And with a twinkle in his eye, Baba added, "So you will have to take care to see that they get enough to eat." Baba's expression as he made this joke was so delightful that some chuckled and some could not keep help laughing. With this natural break in the proceedings, Baba and the Mandali descended the stairs to the waiting vehicles. I am ocean of purity. Baba left Vijayawada for Guntur on the morning of the 21st at around 7. Baba's car was followed by another car and a jeep which carried some of the Andhra workers. The Mandali traveled in a large bus while a truck carried the luggage. This caravan reached Guntur at about 9 that morning. M. Sudarshanam was the host. As we pulled up in front of his house, volleys from guns were fired to welcome Baba. He was received with great love and led inside the house where a dais with statues of lions on either side had been set up for him. Baba allowed those present to file by and garland him. Prior to this, be, they had been reminded that they should not touch Baba's feet or bow down to him. Much before Baba's arrival in Andhra, he had sent some specific and some general instructions to the local and overall organizers. These were to be followed strictly by all. In one of the letters from Baba, he had stated, "This time I am coming there also as a sadhak and aspirant. So no one should bow down to me prior to my bowing down to them, and no one should touch my feet." As his lovers filed past, Baba gently patted some on the head, some on the cheek, and occasionally he embraced some. Baba had, at first, taken his seat on the decorated dais, but this arrangement proved inconvenient for those approaching him for his darshan. After a while, he walked into the family's puja room, which was used exclusively for prayers and meditation. A full size picture of Meher Baba graced one of the walls. As Baba entered, the host and his family accompanied him. M. Sudarshanam asked Baba to sanctify his own picture by touching it, which Baba did. Then Baba asked the host where his wife was. M. Sudarshanam explained that she wasn't there because it was the time of a monthly period. According to the Hindu custom, she had to keep herself away so as to not defile the things that were to be offered to Baba. Baba smiled compassionately and conveyed, "I am God in human form. I am in everything. I am everything. I am the ocean of purity, which is not defiled by anything. Call her." When she came, Baba patted her and took the sweets she offered him, tasted a little of it, and then distributed these to all gathered as his prasad. The avatar's presence is like a blazing fire that consumes all dross. Nothing can contaminate his divine life. A very, very deep message in this little episode where Baba draws attention or puts the spotlight on uh, a practice which is there in many communities on women and their so-called, in quotes, impurity for a period. Baba's just demolishing that.
So true. He's demolishing many of the, karma kandas. Like even
Rituals, yes. Yeah. Praja, public darshan at Guntur. Baba left Sudarshanam's house to visit the Sai Baba Samaj Society, Baba had once stated that Sai Baba was the Kutub-e-Irshad, or head of the five perfect masters who precipitated his advent. A chair had been arranged for Baba under an awning facing the proposed site of the temple to be built for Sai Baba. Out of deep reverence for his master, Baba preferred to sit on the ground. A welcome address was read out, a part of which follows: Bhagavan, we feel highly blessed and purified by thy august presence in our midst. Thy feet have sanctified the site. It is our fervent prayer that by thy blessings, the mandir, temple, to be constructed on the site should serve as a spiritual center in this holy land. At the request of the Sai Baba devotees, Baba then touched Sai Baba's photo and also the foundation stone for the temple. Baba remarked, I feel very happy on this occasion. This grand old man, Sai Baba, was and is a unique personality in the spiritual world. He knows, and only a few like him, who are the personification of perfections, know that I am the Ancient One. Then Baba proceeded toward a park in the middle of town where a pandal had been erected for Praja public darshan. Baba was garlanded and the welcome address were read out. Afterward, Baba had Ramju read in English the real darshan message, which he had earlier given in Dehradun 25. So, yeah, we went through that in volume 4. This message was the first among the 13 that Baba had earlier sent to KDRM from Mahabaleshwar. These messages in English were translated into Telugu and then printed in the form of a booklet, as well as loose pamphlets, which were distributed freely to the people. After one of the Andhra Baba lovers read out the Telugu translation of the message, Baba dictated, we are all one. Every one of you has the infinite within, and yet because of ignorance, everyone feels some kind of helplessness. It is a mighty divine joke that although every one of you is all power and all bliss, you feel completely weak and miserable. The moment this ignorance goes, you become the infinite source of all power and bliss. As I am within you all, I authoritatively say that if you love me with all your heart and lose yourself in me, this ignorance will go. On the dais, Baba looked charmingly radiant. It is difficult to capture that special feeling which permeated the pandal whenever Baba gave darshan. His smile was at once so warm and engaging that on a purely human level, one was captivated by it. But simultaneously, there was a grandeur, a magnificence to Baba's experience which made people feel that they were in the presence of the Divine One who had assumed a human form. After the message was read out, Baba started distributing prasad to the thousands of men and women who had assembled there. Near the end of the program, a young boy suddenly came running toward Baba from the crowd and placed his head on Baba's holy feet, despite the previous announcement that none should do so. Baba, however, gestured to the Mandali not to be concerned about it. However, as if to nullify the boy's action, Baba touched the feet of some of the Mandali who were around him. Baba returned to M. Sudarshanam's house and spent some time walking in the garden. Suddenly, he stopped and sat on the ground and had water brought to him and washed his hands. At the time, no one thought much about this, but later, Dr. K. Surya Narayana suggested that the spot should be marked as there was probably some significance to Baba sitting there. M. Ramakrishna, the second son of the host, put a piece of marble there, and began placing flowers on it each day in remembrance of Baba. Recently, a big hotel was built there by the family, and a large marble bust of Baba is prominently displayed in the lobby on the spot where Baba sat. A curious footnote to the story is that it was here in this hotel that Adi K. Irani, Baba's disciple from the Manzile meme days, died suddenly of a heart attack on March 4, 1980, after inaugurating a new building to be used as a center for Baba lovers in Guntur. This is in 1980. And Manzile Neem is the name of a building in Dadar, Mumbai, where Meher Baba stayed with a group of his early disciples from June 7 to December 31st of 1922. On the afternoon of the 21st, after delicious lunch provided by the host, Baba called the Mandali to his room. We had thoroughly enjoyed the spicy South Indian food, and now we were happy to hurry over to be with beloved Baba. It was about 1 p.m. We found Baba sitting on the bed with the boy who had touched Baba's feet during the darshan program standing at his side. The boy was somewhat musk like and was clapping his hands together and singing a bhajan. Baba then asked him to sing a song in the praise of Lord Shiva, which the boy did wholeheartedly. Someone from the local workers remarked that Guntur was well known for kirtan and bhajan, and Baba spelt on his board that real bhajan is here. It is one thing to sing a song of devotion to the Lord, but to do so in the presence of the Lord in human form is indeed the real bhajan. The boy then started giving a lecture on Baba, and Baba embraced him when he completed it. The boy said he could talk like that all day long, but the people would beat him with their chappals if he went on at that length. Baba laughed and gave him a Baba locket, took him on his lap, and gestured, "Remember, Baba is God. Don't forget this." Shortly afterward, Baba left Guntur. On the way back to Vijayawada, Baba stopped at Sitarama Kshetram. One of the members read out the following welcome address. Most beloved Baba, we present Your Holiness this welcome address as a token of reverence and devotion. May Your Holiness accept the same. Not only we, but none can understand you fully unless you will it. May you be always alive in our hearts. Raghuvar Das, a well-known devotee of Lord Rama, sang a very touching song, Rama Megasyama, in a melodious voice, accompanying himself on the harmonium. Baba was so touched that he blessed the singer and then remarked, "Your song reminds me of my past advent as Rama." Baba also stopped at the Omkar Kshetram, where he was welcomed thus. Master, we salute your lotus feet. Lead, kindly light. Lead us out of the darkness. The Bhagavad Gita proclaimed that age after age, to uphold righteousness, the avatar assumes human form. That divine promise has been fulfilled in your sacred personage. Master, bless us all. Bless the entire humanity. Although the crowds were relatively small at these two stops, the people welcomed Baba very devotedly. The excerpts given above perhaps give some idea of the reverence with which Baba was received. Baba made one other brief stop before proceeding to Vijayawada. A public darshan had been arranged there for 3 p.m. It was already close to 4 p.m., but halfway across the road spanning the Krishna River on the outskirts of Vijayawada, Baba had his car stopped and washed his hands in the river. Baba then got back in the car. Because of the various stops Baba made on the way back to Vijayawada, the car with Adi in it had already arrived at the darshan site. Raghavalu, one of the local workers, immediately asked Adi where Baba was, as it was getting late and Baba was supposed to have been there an hour earlier. Adi didn't know, so Raghavalu and Prasad Rao got into a car and headed toward Guntur to find out what was delaying Baba's arrival. As soon as they reached the Krishna River, they saw Baba sitting silently in the rear seat of the car. He was wearing dark sunglasses and had covered his face with a scarf. He seemed deeply absorbed in his inner work. Erach, seeing Raghavalu approach, walked over to him so that Baba would not be disturbed. Why have you come? He asked. I wanted to see what was keeping Baba. Raghavalu replied. He is here as you can see, Erach said, but I can't disturb him now. Don't worry, he will be there soon. Go back and tell the organizers that Baba is on his way. Baba had his own way and time to attend the programs. So we will stop at this point and continue on about the return to Vijayawada from his Guntur trip and take up February 21st, the 4 p.m. scheduled meeting later in the next week, next weekend. Any thoughts before we close?
Yeah, actually, just 1 minute. I
Sure,
just
sure, please.
was seeing the first visit was in 1953, and the second happens to be immediately after in 1954.
Four,
And in
yeah.
Hamirpur also, the Baba made two visits, 1952 and 54. And Baba called Hamirpur his heart and Andhra his mind. So, I mean, if you see the tour itinerary, he goes to the heart area first and then travels to mind. In both these, is a pattern that we can see. Yeah. Jai Baba.
Interesting and interesting inference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Okay, so
Yeah.
enjoy your Saturday. And again, I
Yeah.
enjoyed today's session as well. Let us connect tomorrow for starting our reading of the next book. Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
अवतार मेहर बाबा कीजिए.
Jai.